What is up everyone, I had Legend in the Ultra Holiday Cup running a very fun double electric team with regular Magnezone running Spark, Mirror Shot and Wild Charge, and Shadow Ampharos with Volt Switch, Brutal Swing and Zap Cannon. Why Zap Cannon, you may ask? Well, this is the reason. Bye bye Alolan Ninetales. People just don't respect it and you can pick up some very nice surprise one-shots. Then to cover for double electric, I'm running Charm, Alolan Ninetales. Normally I'm not really a massive fan of running Charmers, but I think in this new season Charm is much more balanced than it once was, and it just covers perfectly for the electric types, as they can struggle quite a bit with Pokemon like Virizion and Giratina, which Charm Alolan Ninetales just destroys. Also, you might have noticed this is my first video of like a month or so. I've got an update for you on that at the end of the video, but for now, we're just gonna head right into the rest of the battles. This game, we got Charizard into my Alolan Ninetales, obviously not great, so I switch out into Ampharos, which will always be your pivot in this line, by the way. It's just much safer than Magnezone, which can get quite hard countered by Pokemon like Obstagoon, Giratina, and Virizion, and against all of these, Ampharos has a lot of play actually. I hope to go for the Zap Cannon straight away here, because usually they actually don't shield, but this time this Obstagoon did decide to shield, which is not ideal, but I am able to get to another Brutal Swing right there. I overfarmed by one more Volt Switch, hoping they think this is a Zap Cannon, so they shield, but unfortunately they didn't. Still fine though, we have gotten a shield advantage, and we can get some energy on my Alolan Ninetales here. This Obstagoon is actually packing Gunk, which is crazy. That's not something you usually see, but it doesn't really do that much since we did drop the attack. I switched in the Magnezone against a Charizard that came in, and out comes an Ampharos. This is pretty bad. This is a matchup Ampharos can generally win, as Magnezone only does resisted damage versus Ampharos, whereas Ampharos is doing neutral back with the Brutal Swings. But I do have a sheer advantage, so it's not too bad. I'm kind of forced to throw Wild Charge and drop my defense here though. It's not ideal, as these Volt Switches will really start to add up. I'm going to show that Brutal Swing. Go for a Wild Charge here. You see me pause, so the Volt Switch comes in before I'm quad debuffed, so it does less damage, because I'm expecting it to shield there, but they actually don't shield, so that pause might actually cost me, because now I've taken that Volt Switch damage, where I didn't need to. But yeah, had they shielded, that would have been a very good play, but they didn't. So anyway, we're just gonna see, they're gonna be forced to throw a move into my Alolan Ninetales here. Otherwise, I can probably get to another one. And then I just really hope my Magnezone can get to a Wild Charge here. Do I survive the wing attacks? I barely do. I mean, win this pretty hard counter game. GG's. Venusaur lead is absolutely terrible for this squad, as all three of my Pokemon get beaten by this thing. Alolan Ninetales, probably the hardest of all those, so I switch out of there instantly into my Ampharos, which also doesn't have a good matchup here, because, well, all my moves are resistance besides Brutal Swing, and Brutal Swing doesn't do that much, but at least I outpace, so I will be able to get off 2 Brutal Swings here before going down, and that will do a significant amount of damage, or not the significant amount, but enough to where I can probably take it out with Magnezone afterwards. Seeing as they haven't switched out of the Venusaur yet, I am expecting them to be quite weak to electric in the back, so I'm really hoping to sweep with the Magnezone at this point. I'm going to go for the Mirror Shot immediately, hoping this takes him out, but honestly, I don't think it's enough. Mirror Shot is a pretty weak move, but they actually shield it, which is very good for me. It's very good for me, because that probably means they're quite weak to electric in the back. I'm actually going to no-shield that first Frenzy, knowing they're going to be able to get to another one. And I'm going to shield this next one, and then probably overfarm a little bit here. I lost track of energy though. I didn't really do a great job at keeping track of the Vine Whip, so I think I threw a bit early there, but still I overfarmed enough to where if it's like Charizard in the back, I will be able to outpace pretty quickly. And he ends up being Jellicent though that's coming in, so they're definitely weak to electric in the back. I throw this Wild Charge right before they get to the Shadow Ball, but unfortunately it does not knock out, so I'm forced to switch into my Alolan Ninetales to catch this move, which does end up being the Shadow Ball. keeping my Magnezone alive here. Out comes the Shadow Walrein. Not ideal, because I am now in range where an Earthquake will knock out. And if they can overfarm enough, my Magnezone won't even be able to get to Wild Charge before they can get to the Icicle Spear. They're still 4 away though, so I get to my Wild Charge right before they're able to get to the Icicle Spear. This will definitely knock out the Walrein. And then can we farm down their Jellicent? I barely farm it down. That is a very good game. Next up, a Virizion lead. A very positive matchup for Alolan Ninetales, but still, even though I win the lead, I generally struggle with Virizion lead teams, because whatever comes in the back of them is usually quite a pain for this team to handle. This time a Walrein comes out instantly, which I usually respond to with Ampharos, but I noticed I always had to go a shield down this matchup, so this time I actually decided to go Magnezone, which is a absolutely massive mistake. Even though I'm able to win the 0s and 1s here, which I don't even do this time, by the way, another mistake. But let me explain why I didn't shield that. I know that if they shield her, I'm going to lose switch, but I didn't really mind that. I thought Ampharos and Alolan Ninetales would still be able to sweep, but I also didn't want to shield, because if I shield, Virizion just gets a full farm down, and it'll be able to Stone Edge my Alolan Ninetales a couple times, which is also far from ideal. So that's why I didn't shield that. I still think it's a decent play, but it's really not going to end up working out. What you should really do when a Walrein comes out, just go into Ampharos. You will go a shield down, as you will be threatened by Earthquake, but that's fine. You can Zap Cannon whatever comes in after the Walrein, which is cool. And generally, with Virizion lead, Walrein in the back, it's gonna be Aurorus behind it, because that's a very common team popularized by Homeslice Henry. And if you can just get your Magnezone aligned to the Aurorus, you will be fine. So yeah, if you don't, you're just gonna get clapped. My only play at this point is hoping they Weather Ball bait, but since they can just go double Meteor Beam, they do go for it, and I go down. GG's. This next game, I'll showcase how you should play it. Virizion lead, Walrein comes out, I bring in the Ampharos. This is a Shadow Walrein, of course, which is actually a little bit better for Ampharos, as these Volt Switches are just doing much more damage. But the Icicle Spears also add up more, so they're about the same, I would say. I'm going to go for the Brutal Swing right here, as it will kill at this point, as it does. This is actually the only matchup where I'd say Thunder Punch is nice, but like, it's not worth it. I think in general, Zap Cannon is the way to go. As you can see, it's going to do a ton, or as you will see, it's going to do a ton of damage here, which Thunder Punch definitely wouldn't be able to do. Actually, in this matchup, Brutal Swing does the exact same amount as Thunder Punch. That's why I do really like this moveset as well, because Brutal Swing is actually a much better move than Thunder Punch. In neutral situations, or in situations where they both are resisted, like against Virizion, they both do the same damage, so you might as well just run Brutal Swing. Anyway, it's the Homeslice Henry line with Auroras in the back and even a shield down. Magnezone does really, really well here. A Mirror Shot is kind of disappointing damage, honestly. This is why I actually haven't talked about this. If you have an XL Magneton, I think it might actually be better than Magnezone. Just because, well, one, it has a more consistent Charizard matchup, as you can just go for triple discharge, which you get there. 2 whole Thunder Shocks, or 2 whole fast moves faster than Magnezone gets to triple Wild Charge, so it's less bait dependent there. And a Magnet Bomb would do a ton more damage versus Aurorus. So if you do have one of those, consider running it. Even Shadow, that'd be cool, but it is XL. Magnezone doesn't have to be XL, so it's a lot cheaper. And Wild Charge definitely comes in useful from time to time as well. It is a lot harder hitting move than Discharge, of course. Anyway, you won this battle. That's how you're supposed to do it. GG's. Ooh, Magnezone is very, very bad for me, so I switch into my Ampharos, really my only counter, but I'm hoping to maybe lure out the electric counter at this point, and then hopefully my Magnezone can sweep. We're already on a bit of chip with these Volt Switches. Ooh, Alolan Ninetales comes in. We're gonna go for the Zap Cannon. Will they respect it? They do not respect it, and the Alolan Ninetales goes down. Bye-bye. What do they bring in now? I think they bring out the Magnezone again, hoping to farm down. That they do, but I get to the Brutal Swing, and this is huge, because now I can bring in Magnezone, and probably just kill him with like a Mirror Shot if they're debuffed, or just a Wild Charge if they decide to Mirror Shot bait. I'm gonna let the first one go, because if they Wild Charge, that means I can kill him with a Mirror Shot. And if they Mirror Shot, well, they do no damage. So this is like a win-win. You know, ideally I'd actually shield that Wild Charge, because it does do quite a bit of damage, but this felt like the middle ground safe play, which is what I like to go for most of the time. It's all about middle ground safe plays. Mirror Shot is exactly one of those, because it really doesn't matter what he does at this point. If he no shields Mirror Shots, that's fine. I'm just gonna let my Magnezone go down and Charm down at that point, probably. It's a Shadow Charizard, and Charms will add up, so I don't shield her even. If they go for the Dragon Claw, they're screwed, because, you know, I no shield it. If they go for the Blast Burn, that's fine, because I can Charm through this Charizard. Or it's now a Charmed Zard. Never mind. Lapras lead into Alolan Ninetales. I think this is a positive matchup for Alolan Ninetales. I'm not actually entirely convinced of that, but I don't stay in. I have two better answers to the Lapras in Ampharos and Magnezone in the back, so I switch to my Ampharos here. Lure out the Giratina. And this is, by the way, why I prefer Shadow Ampharos over regular, because two Brutal Swings basically knock it out. Whereas with regular, you're gonna need three. Not ideal. So this matchup, Shadow definitely shines. There's some other matchups I think where regular is maybe a little bit more consistent, but overall I think the Shadow packs a little more punch. But either one could definitely work. Oh, they bring in Lapras, and unfortunately I'm not able to get to the Brutal Swing right there. I'm considering what to bring in there, and actually bring in the Alolan Ninetales, because I'm expecting something else weak to electric in the back, so I want to save Magnezone, and I also didn't really want to take the Surfs on Magnezone, because, well, a Surf does quite a bit of damage to a squishy Pokemon like Magnezone still. Anyway, I'm going to go for the side. Oh, I don't go for Side Shock. Out comes Charizard. I bring in Magnezone, and this is where Magnezone is like kind of meh. Because, well, equal energy, this is like, okay, you know, you can bait or not, and you can win still. But if the Charizard baits, you're in big trouble, especially when they're two wing attacks up like this. I'm going to shield this again, hoping it's the Blast Burn this time, but they actually Dragon Claw bait once more. Really, really bad. I'm going to go for the Mirror Shot, really hoping that if they shield this, that I can get to the Wild Charge before they get to their move, but unfortunately they get to the Blast Burn right here. This will knock out my Magnezone. Still not overdose, since I have so much energy on my Alolan Ninetales. I will fire off the Weather Ball right here to knock out the Charizard, and I should be able to get to the Side Shock first. I actually don't. Maybe I could have overfarmed more versus Charizard and got into the Side Shock here. I don't think so, actually, because there's two away. I couldn't have done two. So yeah, we go down. GG's. Alolan Sandslash lead is not good for Alolan Ninetales, so I switch into my Ampharos here, which also doesn't have an amazing matchup versus this thing, unfortunately. But at least the Volt Switches are adding up. They throw one Ice Punch right here and then switch into Giratina. They switched out with some energy as well, which is not good, because Magnezone doesn't have a great matchup either, especially if they run Bulldoze, but luckily most of the time they do run the Gyro Ball, which means all the charge moves are resisted on Magnezone, which would put me in a decent spot now, but still not amazing. Even though I would resist all charge moves, it's still not an amazing matchup for Magnezone, sadly. They actually shielded one of my Brutal Swings on that Giratina, which is great. Allows me to get a lot of energy on my Alolan Ninetales now. I think this is another... Is this another Ancient Power? I'm not sure. It's 15 turns. Yes, there's another Ancient Power. I want to get some farm on my Magnezone, so I actually opt to farm down the Giratina with Sparks instead of another Charm. This will set me up nicely to take out the Alolan Sandslash, hopefully. But stuff in this league is just so incredibly bulky. So Wild Charge won't even KO from this range, so don't throw. Actually, shield this Ice Punch, which isn't great. And then I throw this. Maybe I should have waited with throwing, but I was already at 100. So it's okay. It's okay. I go for a Wild Charge. That's nothing. Now I have to go for the Mirror Shot immediately in order to either get a shield or take out the Alolan Sandslash. It does take it out. In comes the Charm Ninetales. I am debuffed, so these charms are really adding up. But even though I'm taking so much damage, I should actually be able to get the two Mirror Shots right here and get an attack drop, which is great. Yeah, get to the second Mirror Shot. This will take the shield, and then I should be able to take out their Ninetales with my Ninetales. we're looking pretty good. Yes, just shield up this Weather Ball or Psyshock, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. They're not gonna get to another move. I do. Go for the Psyshock. This takes out the Alolan Ninetales. And that's how you beat a Magnezone lead. Another Charizard lead, always going to Ampharos here. Out comes a Milktank, which is wild. And this is actually an opponent I played and lost to before. But one thing I did in that match when I lost is I threw a Zap Cannon immediately, which they shielded. So this time, I'm actually going to go for the Brutal Swing, hoping they shield up, expecting the Zap, and they do shield up. So that's good. Now let's... Actually, I'm going to shield this Body Slam. Interesting. Yeah, because they're going to get to a second one anyway. So I would have to use a shield no matter what. Oh, they actually don't throw it. Interesting. I guess they're just intending to shield either way and get a bunch of energy on their Milktank. Makes sense. Go for the Zap Cannon. Get shielded, unfortunately, but I do get the debuff, which actually, does that help me? I think it does help me since they're forced to throw another move now. Yeah, actually, it definitely helps me. That's really nice. Zap Cannon coming in clutch with a debuff. I think I come in with Magnezone. I know, and like I said, I played them before. I know it's Obstagoon in the back. So if I just get energy on Magnezone, Magnezone might actually be able to sweep because 2 Wild Charges take out the Obstagoon. And my opponent realizes that. If I get too much Farb versus the Milktank with Magnezone, I just win the game. So they actually opt to switch their Obstagoon into my Magnezone, which I can counter with my Alolan Ninetales. And this sets me up for a pretty good game now. I don't even throw my Weather Ball, knowing I actually thought this Cross would knock out, but I was fine with that. I was super fine with getting knocked out there, as Magnezone just wins now. It just wins. I didn't actually die though, so I still get to my Psyshock versus Charizard, which is fine. It doesn't really help me since a Wild Charge one-shots anyway, but you know what? Every little bit of chip matters, I guess. We just sent that Charizard back to where it came from. Now out comes the Milktank. Might as well shield this move just in case they come out with a surprise Earthquake, which they don't. It doesn't have any moves that can hit Magnezone. So, Wild Charge. Take out the Milktank. That's another good game. Next up, an Alolan Golem lead. Not a very common Pokeball in this meta, but I think it might be one we're going to see more of. I think it's pretty decent. I actually think it's pretty decent. It's good anti-meta. Seeing as there's a lot of Alolan Ninetales and Charizard around, and Rock is really the only typing that breaks that, I think. Of course, you do have to watch out for Virizion, which is a huge problem for Alolan Golem, but if you can avoid Virizion, you're good. And oh my, that Zap did so much damage. I think I'm gonna come in with, I think maybe I should have come in Magnezone there. Get a bunch of energy. But also, they would have gotten to the Weather Ball, which isn't ideal. Rock Throw is a pretty bad move. So, Alolan Ninetales actually still has play against Golem here. I thought they had the Rock Blast right there, so I switched out, tried to catch it. I don't think I caught it. So I'm actually going to shield, expecting maybe a Wild Charge, but they didn't Wild Charge. So it was a bad shield, but fine. I'm just going to take this next move. If it's Wild Charge, it's Wild Charge. They're debuffed, the Mirror Shot would kill, but actually just Rock Blast. It does nothing. And since they're not debuffed, I know Mirror Shot actually isn't going to do that much. So I go for the Wild Charge, which even though it's resisted, does more than Mirror Shot. Takes him out. Out comes Charizard. And we're just going to go straight for the nuke. Do they shield it? No, they do not. They expected the bait, and it takes him out. GG's, that was the final game of the day. Hope you enjoyed the battles. But before I go, got a couple important channel updates to share with you all. First off, you might have noticed I haven't uploaded a video like a month, which is by far the longest break I've ever taken since I started doing Pogo content on this channel. And it's been because I've just been struggling with mental health a bit and needed a break, and I'm still not doing like amazing, but it's getting better every day, and I really missed making videos. This community, it's amazing, and I really enjoy making content for y'all. So I want to come back, and I will be making more videos starting now. It won't be to the amount I was making like before, but I'm gonna try to post at least like 1, 2, maybe 3 videos a week, as well as probably get back into streaming on Twitch. Then the second thing I wanted to talk about, battle submissions, something a lot of folks have asked me about, and I will finally be accepting them. So if you have any battles you want me to showcase, go to the Google form down below and send me them. Any battles are fine, spicy battles, meta battles, legend push battles, even battles where you lose. Please especially send me those, or where you mess up, because one thing I really want to do with this series is help you and the viewer improve at the game. So I will be critical of mistakes, I will explain what you did good as well, so we can all become a little better at Go battling. If that sounds good to you, again, Google form down in the description, send me your battles. I definitely can't promise I'll do all of them, but I'll try to do at least a good chunk. Anyway, thanks for watching, hope to see you in the next one soon, and have a good day.